Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Teri and today I'm going to be swatching China Glaze Cali Dreams nail polish collection. This is their spring 2021 nail polish collection. It consists of 8 cream nail polishes, so you know I had to get this collection because I love cream nail polishes. So let's get into the swatches. First is I'm No Tourist. And I would just describe this as a warm toned nude nail polish. So for the formula on this one, it's kind of in between being thin and thick. So it's not too thick, but it is a little bit thin to where it does run in your cuticle area if you're not careful. And it also runs down the brush. You get a lot of polish on your brush, so you kind of have to keep wiping it off. But I think it's a good formula. You just have to be careful. It is a little streaky on that first coat. I don't think you're going to be able to see the streaks as well on camera, but trust me, it is streaky. And this one, you might be able to get opaque in 2 coats. It just depends on how you polish, but I like to apply thin coats of polish, so I ended up doing 3 thin coats, and this one was completely opaque for me. I love a good neutral color. I think this one looks really good on my skin tone, and it would be really great as a base for nail art. Next is Vacay Dreams. And I'm going to describe this color as a kind of dusty coral cream. It's very muted, so it's not like a bright orange pink coral color, but I still do see like orange and pink in this one with maybe a little bit of gray. So again, don't trust my descriptions. Just look at the live swatch and you can kind of figure out the color yourself. But again, this one had the same formula as the last polish. It kind of seems like the first coat of polish is very thin, but then when you apply that second and third coat of polish, it kind of seems like it's a little bit thicker. But it's still a little bit runny, and you have to be careful when applying because you can see like it will run into your cuticle area. But again, this one would take 2 to 3 coats. I ended up applying 3 thin coats. And I forgot to mention, but these polishes all dry shiny. Sunset Crew is basically a salmon color. This formula was a little bit thinner than the last 2 polishes I showed you guys. It's just a little bit more sheer, but it still has that same problem where it wants to run into your cuticles, so I have to be very careful when applying this one to make sure I don't flood my cuticles. So this polish wasn't as streaky as the last 2 polishes, but I still had to apply 3 coats for it to be completely opaque because there were some dark spots on that second coat. And again, this polish dries glossy. This color is actually a little bit more muted in person. On camera, it's showing up a little bit brighter than what I'm seeing in person. But the video does seem to be slightly more accurate than the picture. The picture just looks like a bubblegum pink, but I promise you in person, it's a very muted salmon pink color. Tangerine Heat. So we're going to call this one a pastel orange yellow. On the camera, it's leaning more yellow, but in person, I think it leans more orange. So this one was very streaky. You definitely have to be careful when applying this. It does have that runny, thin formula. And you have to apply very thin coats on this one because if you don't, it'll just flood your cuticles. So be careful with this one. You definitely need 3 coats for it to be completely opaque. I also did notice some bubbles forming when I applied too thick of a coat, so make sure to thin your coats out. I don't know what the issue with that was, but after I thinned my coats out, those bubbles did go away. I would definitely say out of all of the polishes in this collection, this one had the most difficult formula, but it wasn't difficult, if that makes sense. I've dealt with much worse polishes than this one. You just have to be careful when applying it. Sunny, you should ask. This is a dusty pastel orange. It's definitely more of a true orange than the last polish I showed you. This polish had the same formula as the first couple of polishes I showed you. It definitely had a better formula than that last orange in the collection. It still is a little bit streaky, and you definitely want to keep your coats thin. I applied 3 thin coats of this polish. You might be able to get away with 2, depending on your preference. But this one seemed a little bit less runny. The formula, I don't know, seemed slightly thicker than the last couple of polishes. And it didn't seem like it wanted to flood my cuticles as much as some of the other polishes in this collection. I think this one is a great pick. This one's definitely one of my favorites in the collection. It's definitely bright, but not summer bright. So I think this one is a great color for the spring. Live in the moment. So this one is a blue toned mint. This one has a similar formula to the last orange I showed you. It seems to be a little bit thicker than some of the other polishes in the collection. Not quite as thin and not as runny, but you still want to be careful with applying it because you could still flood your cuticles with this one. I also think this one, I don't know, for some reason it didn't seem as streaky to me, but I still went on ahead and applied 3 thin coats to make sure it was completely opaque. And I really like this one. I really like the shade of blue mint it is. It's very pretty. Perfect pastel spring color. And again, this one dries glossy as well. Next is Surfside Skies. So this is a dusty gray, blue, purple cream color. This color really reminds me of Boho Blues by China Glaze, and I might have to do a comparison of that one. I don't know. Maybe Boho Blues is more purple, but I love this color blue. I think it looks great on everybody. And this one had a thin, runny formula. It will flood your cuticles. However, this one was completely opaque in only 2 coats. So yeah, just be careful when applying it, but I was able to get it opaque in 2 coats, which is good since most of the polishes were 3 coaters. Such a pretty blue, purple, gray color, so I definitely like this one. Sure feels good. This is a very bright blue cream, and if blue could be neon, I would probably say this is probably the closest blue neon you can get. It's just so bright. It's kind of like a little bit jelly-like on that first coat, even though it's not a jelly. The first coat was thin and streaky and a little bit runny. I think you could possibly get this opaque in 2 coats. But again, I went ahead and applied the 3rd coat. Like I said, this is a very, very bright blue. I think this one's definitely my favorite in the collection. This one reminds me more of a summer nail polish, more so than a spring nail polish. If you like to follow those trends, you might want to wait to wear this one in the summer, but I think this is beautiful. And again, I feel like blue just looks good on everybody. So that is the end of China Glaze Spring 2021 live swatch and review. Let me know down below in the comments what your favorite nail polish was, and also if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button to help me out, and subscribe if you have not already. Alright guys, I will talk to you later. Bye.